Yo, dog, I heard you like boots. So I put my boots in this boot so I can stomp you while I stomp you.
Ooh, look at me, getting out a video on time instead of a month after everyone's forgotten it. I usually keep my videos on a very tight schedule, but I knew that this film was probably going to be the biggest release of this year, so I decided to bump it up on my timeline. I don't need to tell you that the MCU is in a pretty rough spot at the moment, with Marvel not really knowing what to do with themselves ever since Endgame, with a few wins here and there, but nothing really long lasting. And I know a lot of people were hoping for this movie to fix the MCU. And if you go into this movie with those expectations, you're going to be fairly disappointed. So, now we come to the question of if Deadpool and Wolverine is worthy of all the hype around it, and also if it's any good. And the answer is yes. I overall liked the movie and had a good time, but I can't ignore the massive flaws that plagued the whole experience. There will be no spoilers in this review, except for the stuff that was shown in the trailers. But I do still encourage you to watch the film for yourself and come to your own opinion. I am not you, you are not me. Therefore, something that I may have had issue with, you may not, and vice versa. So don't let anything I say in this review dissuade you from watching this movie. So without further ado, let's go. This would usually be the part of the video where I briefly describe the plot, but I can't really do that without spoilers, so I won't. I'm mainly going to be focusing on the technical side of this movie. This film is just like the first two in the sense that it's an R-rated comedy action movie, but differentiates itself by being the first Deadpool movie in the MCU, but also because it's a multiverse movie. The multiverse is a really cool concept for a story and can be done extremely well, but it seems that most multiverse movies just use the idea to throw in pointless fan service, which is sadly something that this movie doesn't avoid. I said that this is a comedy action movie, so now let's talk about the comedy and the action. The comedy is extremely hit and miss, with most of it coming from Deadpool running his mouth, which was a part of the previous movies, but is now cranked up to 11, to the point where I'd say around 90% of the movie's jokes were told this way, which can get a little grating if you're not really into that type of humor. But luckily I am. And while not all Deadpool's quips were funny, I did find myself laughing at a decent number of them, which most of the time kept them from getting stale. Though I am sick and tired of the joke of saying something is stupid and then proceeding to do it anyway, which this movie abuses a lot. The action was the best part of the first two movies, and that still rings true in this film. In fact, I'd say that this has the best action out of all the Deadpool movies, with amazing choreography and sound design, as well as musical choices that feel like they work well with the action rather than distracting from it. There was an interesting interview that Ryan Reynolds did for this movie, where he said that you wouldn't have to do any homework for it, which I immediately reacted with, how? The TVA are in the trailer, so an average moviegoer would at least have to watch Loki, right? And it turns out Ryan Reynolds was correct in the interview, because instead of having to do homework, the movie goes out of its way to force exposition dump who the TVA are, and what they do, and why they're important, and honestly, this might just be as bad as having to do homework, and it slows the film down to a sluggish pace. Speaking of pace, this movie has a pacing issue, in the sense that parts of this film really start to drag, with lesser quality jokes, but luckily pick back up shortly after that. Basically what I'm saying is, this movie is only 2 hours long, but it feels longer due to some weaker spots. It seems I've spent the whole video ignoring the giant blue and yellow elephant in the room. So now let's talk about Wolverine. Hugh Jackman does an amazing job, mainly carrying the emotional scenes, and you can tell that he really cares about this performance. Unfortunately, Wolverine isn't really used for much outside of that, and spends the majority of his screen time scowling in the background and telling Deadpool to shut up. But I feel he does enough to justify his inclusion in the title. The visuals are also hit or miss, with some effects looking incredibly impressive, but others looking like PS4 cutscenes. In summary, Deadpool and Wolverine is a good movie that could have been great. I still liked the movie, but it has a few too many flaws to get any higher praise. A lot of people were expecting this movie to save the MCU, but it's more like a final hurrah for the Marvel Fox universe, and I think in that regard, this is a proper send-off. Again. 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 That's all I got for now. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and hit that bell icon to be notified for whenever I make a new video. The next review should be Mullet Mad Jack, so if you're interested in that, or interested in supporting the channel more, then turn on notifications and check out my other videos. Okay, that's it. Bye.